Welcome to another episode of Living a Full Life. I'm Dr. Enrico Dolcecore, and this week we are going to be going through the benefits of the sun. As summer is coming around, sunlight becomes part of our everyday ritual here in the upper hemisphere. And what ends up happening is that we get exposed to more sunlight, which is a great thing. I feel like over the last few decades, the research has shown, or at least the media has produced, a lot of negative input about sunlight and being careful around sun. And what we've been finding over the last decade is that a lot of the protocols that we've been taught to use to protect our skin against UV damage has been mainly based around sunscreen. Now, this episode is not about sunscreen, it's about how sunscreen has become very dangerous because of its chemical basis. A lot of these companies use cheap ways to make sunscreen effective, and they're more about the sensation of the sunscreen more than the protective measures. So, a lot of these cosmetic companies that are making cheap sunscreen formulas that are sold at a cheaper rate are easy to apply. They're aerosol based. They go on clear. They're easy to put on. So they're paraben based and lotion based. And all the extra chemicals and ingredients that they put into this is actually shown to be a risk for increased melanoma because of the chemicals we're putting on the skin and how they react to long UV exposure or overheating changes their compound and actually become toxic or carcinogenic. There you go. That's kind of crazy. And the organic based stuff that's been used for centuries is looked or frowned upon because it's a little bit more gooey or a little bit harder to rub into the skin or leaves white streaks. And I sit back and just shake my head. I'm like, where have we gone to make life so convenient that we are willing to just negate evidence based literature and science and fact and just sit around and be like, no, I'll spray an aerosol chemical onto my skin, sit in the sun for an hour and a half, and I'll be okay. When that entire thing was incorrect. The aerosol is a bad idea. Sitting in the sun for 90 minutes is a bad idea. And all of those things are just a bad idea. So let's go through sunlight. I think summer's around the corner. This is a great podcast for that, and how sunlight is so beneficial to our health. We actually need it to live a healthy life cycle. We need it. And I'll show you a couple of things in the literature and why mood and all the endocrine system and our hormones all depend on proper sunlight exposure. So let's go through that. Let's talk about the benefits of sunlight. First off, direct UV contact to our skin, to our derma, actually has a process in it that converts UV photonic energy into vitamin D3 in the body. Takes a little bit of a cascade when it happens. You got melatonin, the melatonin in your skin converts it to vitamin D1, and then in the blood converts vitamin D3 through our liver. And that vitamin D3 then goes into our body, and it's a vitamin that many processes use, both in the endocrine system and the immune system, to regulate a healthy balance in those systems. So sunlight is essential for the synthesis of vitamin D in the skin. And then vitamin D itself has been known in the literature to show an increase in calcium absorption, which is crucial for our bone health. And in the literature shows preventing osteoporosis later in life. So that we've known for decades. And here we are going to put a barrier on our skin and block the process of UV light turning to vitamin D. Makes little sense, doesn't it? So vitamin D production is probably the most written literature we have on the benefits of sunlight. But there's other benefits that come through the literature showing mood enhancement. So exposure to sunlight increases the production of a chemical called serotonin, a hormone associated with boosting mood and helping a person feel calm and focused. It's a feel-good hormone that's released and in the brain, and it actually changes our mood. So sunlight plays a great mood, and we've known this through many different literature out there, case studies, large double-blind placebo studies, and also from some morbid studies through human history of dungeons and holding prisoners captive and away from sunlight and what happened to them and their moods as well. And there's a lot of things showing massive mood changes with people who don't get enough sun exposure to people who are inside or outside. This is another reason of mood enhancement is the circadian rhythm regulation that sunlight gives us. I mean, we are naturally programmed in the midbrain to night and day, and that usually conveys our sleep cycle. So this is our circadian rhythm. The natural sunlight helps regulate the body's internal clock, promoting better sleep patterns and overall well-being. So we need to have exposure to that sun. And this is where like night shift workers and people who have day and night shift splits may see some changes in their circadian rhythm, having difficulty to fall asleep or waking up or not getting restful sleep is because they're always mixing and matching day and night and when they're sleeping. So they've typically shown resistance to good circadian rhythms because of that. And there's cool stuff in the newer research showing that direct sunlight exposure can trigger the release of nitric oxide in the skin, which helps lower blood pressure and improve cardiovascular health. So, as we sit in the sun, the skin temperature increases, but also that UV photonic energy helps release something called nitric oxide, which vasodilates our arteries and gives us better blood flow. That's why our skin starts to turn red when we warm up. So blood starts to flow better, which of course decreases blood pressure in that time, which is also a natural way of controlling that. So having natural and regular exposure to sunlight has some great benefits. Now, we have to be safe. I mean, many of you have experienced a sunburn before. They're painful, it's skin damage. We're literally hurting the organ of our skin when we do that. So, moderation is key when it comes to the sunlight. Sunlight has numerous benefits, but excessive exposure can lead to skin damage, sunburn, and increased risks of many cancers, skin cancers as well. So we got to use protection strategies. So using broad spectrum sunscreens and wearing, of course, protective clothing during the day and seeking shade during peak sunlight hours to minimize harmful effects. So a good exposure for vitamin D and for the benefits of UV light is 20 minutes of full body exposure. So we're not running around naked every day. So it's hard to get full body exposure for 20 minutes every day. So it's about 30 minutes of most of the body's contact with UV light daily. Now, what do you do for 365 days a year? It's hard to get that. So we're going to need to supplement vitamin D, and I'll show you how to do that well. So broad spectrum sunscreens with as little ingredients as possible play a very good barrier to protecting our skin against the sun when we're outside for more than 20 or 30 minutes to prevent sunburns. Skin conditions, controlled exposure to UV rays can be beneficial for certain skin conditions. So being exposed to sunlight can help things like eczema, psoriasis under medical supervision. So I remember my grandparents being from the Mediterranean. If you had anything, eczema or a rash or anything to do with the skin, they're like, oh, just go to the beach. The sun will take care of it. Pimples, acne, everything. They truly believed that you go to the beach and it will help with your skin. There's a story of my grandfather breaking his leg, his lower leg, his tibia. And of course, stubborn, didn't go to the doctor, didn't do anything about it. He went I remember he'd go to the beach, which they lived very close to, and he would bury his leg in the sand and densely pack it, set up a little tent or shade for himself and just sit underneath the shade and just spend half a day at the beach. And he would do that regularly. And of course, his leg healed and the story is miraculous and all that. He pretty much just went to the beach and casted his leg. But the family's always like, it's because he went to the beach and the salt water and the air and the breeze and the Mediterranean and all these things. So there's a passed down belief that the sun and being outdoors is just good for our health. And we can all agree with that. Now, when we come up to 2024 and modern medicine and research and science, we can then talk about, being safe in the sun and actually using evidence to support our health claims as well. So yes, being out there in the beach is always great for our mood and for everything, but really it's the science behind it that we need to follow. So the role of vitamin D in the body is really important to go through. We have a previous podcast strictly about vitamin D, so I'll make this quick. If you need more, just go right back to that podcast. But bone health is number one. Vitamin D plays a vital role in maintaining bone density and preventing diseases such as rickets in children and osteomalacia in adults and osteoporosis. So it directly transports minerals into the bone. And it's important from birth all the way up to to death, really, throughout our entire life. It's really important to maintain that to get things across. So that's number one. Number two, vitamin D plays a vital role in immune function. It supports the immune system. It reduces the risk of infections and potentially lowering the risk of autoimmune diseases because we found that people with low vitamin D have an array of disease processes that happen. So people in a healthy range of vitamin D seem to have less of these conditions, which is a correlative study more so, but the literature supports that. So that's great. So vitamin D plays a great role in immune system and autoimmune disease. And a lot of the newer stuff is actually linking it to cancer prevention. Some studies suggest that adequate vitamin D levels can help lower the risk of certain cancers, including breast, prostate, and colon cancers. So I call those the deep cancers, the deep organ cancers. Vitamin D plays an important role in that. So that is very cool. So we need to supplement vitamin D because we just don't get enough what? Direct sun exposure on a daily basis, 365 days a year. I was born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And in the winter, the sun goes down at 4:45 and it comes up at 8:15 in the morning. I mean, it's just dark all the time. And never mind, it's -30 outside. So you're covered literally from head to toe with a scarf around your nose. And then you're inside. So you're getting zero UV exposure for 5, 6, 7, 8 months out of the year. And then when you're out there in the summer, it's really not warm enough to be walking around in swim shorts all day. So there you go. There's the story of that. So everyone above, the latitude of pretty much, I would say, North Carolina, Central California, and upward, the climate is just you get all four seasons. It's hard to be virtually naked for 365 days a year. So we definitely need to supplement um, vitamin D into our care. Tigers and other animals produce a lot of the vitamins they need naturally in their body, just like how we can produce it from sunlight. Tigers, for example, produce all the vitamin C that they need by breaking down protein. It's a cool process that they have in their bodies where they don't have to eat any vegetables or fruits because they produce the vitamins that they need through the food that they eat, through protein. That is really cool. I've always wondered those things. And when you look at the literature, you end up finding out these cool little things about other animals. Same thing with us. We do not produce vitamin A and vitamin C and all the other vitamins. So we need to get that through a good variety of food in our diet. So when we're balancing the sun exposure and skincare, we need to practice safe sun practices. So recommendations for safe sun exposure is based on times, on skin type, and geographic location. We talked about being, in the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere. The closer to the equator you are, the more of the luxury you have to sunlight at a more regular time, like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 12 months a year when you're on the equator. And usually the equator temperatures are pretty static all year round. They're 20 plus degrees Celsius every single day, or above 70 degrees Fahrenheit every single day. Pretty comfortable to be outside in a t-shirt or shorts or a tank top and shorts and get some sun every single day. So that's great. And living by the beach helps. Not living downtown in the major concrete jungle, walking around half naked kind of looks weird. So there's many reasons as our environment plays a role on how much sun exposure we get. So therefore, supplementation comes back into the equation that is necessary in regions with limited sunlight. So how much? I think virtually every human on earth needs about 5,000 IUs per day of supplemented vitamin D to maintain a healthy range between 50 and 70 IUs or millimoles per day in their blood. So that's where we want to stay. Optimal range is 50 to 70. Anything above 30 is considered okay medically, and anything under 100 is considered okay medically. But we need about 5,000 IUs per day. So a liquid form is very easy, and vitamin D is fairly cheap to buy. And all vitamin D now is vitamin D3. Sometimes it's mixed. It can be vitamin D3 with K. And then some of these other ones, be careful. If you mix it with calcium, vitamin D, and magnesium, then you'll have to look at the label and see how much each capsule you're getting from vitamin D. You'll see it's quite low. It might only be 500, not 5,000. So you'll have to take 10 of those to get the dosage of vitamin D, but then taking 10 of those might be too much calcium. So be careful with those mixed ones. I say get the specific supplements that you need to supplement your life with specifically, rather than these multis or these combo packs where you may be getting a little too much of something, a little too little of something else. And that should be supervised by your doctor for sure. And then dietary sources, you can get this through your food. For sure you can. People are like, well, why do I have to take supplements if I have a if I have a great diet? Well, if you have a great diet, then you're going to need a rich diet in fatty fish, fortified dairy products, and egg yolks as part of a holistic approach to maintaining adequate levels. So how many egg yolks? About 11 per day. And how much fatty fish? About 7 ounces of fatty fish per day to get the vitamin D that you need. Just that's a lot of food to be eating every single day. I don't know how much salmon you can eat and how many days in a row you can eat it, but 7 ounces is a lot, and 11 egg yolks. So that's a lot. That's a lot of food to be eating, and it's really rich, right? So, and it's fatty. So, because vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin. So, anyways, that it's tough to get. So, long story short, you need to supplement your vitamin D um, vitamin in your body. That makes sense, right? So a lot of this stuff, really cool points there. The sun is not your enemy. That's the point of this episode. The sun is not your enemy. We need it for many different things. And once you start incorporating sunlight into your regular wellness schedule, it's something we forget. You may be listening to this podcast being like, really, you're telling people to get sun? Yeah, we work inside a lot. And with moods and people and depression and anxiety, people just feel good when they get out. I think they're just getting away from work for an hour and just going outside and breathing some fresh air. That just helps, period. Science or no science, or evidence or no evidence on that. It just helps. Many people get grounded. They like that. So getting out there and getting some direct sun just plays good. Sitting by your window and getting direct sun on a chilly day, that helps too. So getting sunlight plays a huge role on many different things. So if you're having any problems sleeping or with your mood regulation or anything along those lines hormonally, you may be vitamin D deficient, but also the pathway on that as well. So there is no cheats when it comes to health and wellness. There's fortified, structured systems physiologically that the human body uses to maintain its function and systems. You cannot change this principle or these rules. They're universal intelligence. It cannot be changed. We have to respect those processes, understand them as well as we possibly can, which we're always working on learning more, and just play by the rules. There are no cheats. There is no miraculous science that's coming around the corner with a magic vitamin or a magic pill or a magic weight loss drug or a magic sunlight device or any type of light. We cannot replicate the nature and the universe's way of how we function and have been designed. This cannot change. So quit looking for cheats. There are no cheats. We just got to do the things that we do as best as we can, as often as we can, to maintain wellness. That's the trick to a healthy lifestyle. You'll find that when you stop chasing for the cheats, you just breathe a lot easier. You breathe a lot deeper and you exhale a lot better because you let go of a lot of the chasing and a lot of this anti-aging and all these things that we're trying to chase on a day-to-day basis. You'll find it relieving to just know the universe has got you. You just got to connect with it, and it's all around you. Everything you need is around you. Good food, a good variety of food, restful sleep, some sunlight, and some good friends and family, and you're going to live a good life. Stay well. Keep sending out your questions. I love this stuff, and it gives us ideas for future podcasts. Join us every Tuesday. A new podcast drops at Living a Full Life. And please subscribe, like, and review this. Share it with your friends. Get it out there. We're here for you. Have a great week. Stay well. Stay healthy.